Hello and welcome to the Untitled, back in with you guys for another show, for another episode of our tactical breakdown series. Now, today's show is basically discussing a player that has signed, it seems, because the pictures that are coming out from Heathrow Airport are of Edu walking through the terminal with Pablo Marí, the Spaniard who is, well, playing in Brazil currently, soon not to be it seems, after spending quite a few, years not really at well-known places. He's had a stint at Manchester City, didn't really play at all, and now ends up at Arsenal. And considering where we were at a couple of days ago with Matvienko, the Shakhtar Donetsk centre-back, and now all of a sudden this guy has really come out of absolutely nowhere, which has left myself and a lot of other people in the media absolutely scrambling to try and get hold of some people that know their stuff on him. I'm really surprised at this link. I'm really surprised that we've gone for this person in some senses, but in other senses it does make quite a bit of sense. So in today's video we're going to discuss all that, look at his statistics, get some expert insight as well, and cover it all. So if you're enjoying the series, please make sure you give the show a like, please subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and hit that notification button so you never miss a show. And if you'd like to become a member and get access to loads of new exclusive content, then make sure you hit that too with the link in the description below on Android and desktop. iOS users, you will have to jump on your PC to join. Now, I'm going to throw over to our Brazilian expert, Renato. Renato talks about lots of Brazilian. He lives there. He's well in the know about the stuff that's going on over there. English isn't his first language, which I think you can understand is the reason why, because he lives in Brazil and that's where he comes from. So please bear with in that sense, but he knows his stuff from Brazil. He knows Pablo Marí, and I'm sure that we're going to get some excellent insight from him. So take it away, Renato.
Hey Arsenal fans, it's Renato. It's a pleasure to be at the Gunner Talk TV, and today we are gonna talk a little bit about Pablo Marí, the new Arsenal centre back. First of all, who is Pablo Marí? He's a Spanish defender, 26 years old, playing for Flamengo, the biggest club in South America, alongside Boca Juniors, River Plate and Corinthians. He has just won the Copa Libertadores and the Brasileirão with them. He played every game since he's been signed for them 6 months ago. He was signed from Manchester City, where he was at their ranks for 3 years, but never played a single game for them. He said recently that he never even met Pep Guardiola. He was loaned to Spanish second-tier sides, Girona, Deportivo. He also played in the Eredivisie with NEC Breda. And we can say that Marí is at the peak of his career right now. He's at the prime of his career. He is a star at Flamengo. He's one of the first names on the team sheet. Flamengo fans love him, they adore him, and they are very, very sad to see him go. Pablo is a very tall centre-back, and he's very good in the air. He has scored, I think, 3 goals for Flamengo, including a very important goal in Flamengo's Libertadores semi-final against Grêmio. Has good technique for a centre-back. He's good positioning. He plays in a possession-based side, Flamengo. They play a very high line. They have an European coach, Jorge Jesus, who is very well known in Europe, and he knows his stuff. Pablo is a player that we can say there is a low risk and high reward, because we are signing him on loan according to English reports, and if it works out, we can sign him for cheap, and that would be a master stroke. I have concerns on him, of course. He's slow. He has never been tested at the highest level. Very sure that Arteta knows him from his time at Manchester City, and he's exactly what Arsenal want in a centre back right now. He's left-footed. He's good passing from the back. He has experience. He's not a kid anymore. And as I said, I have my concerns about him, but it's a low risk. And if he can replicate his performances in Brazil, it will be a very good signing. He'll be, at the very least, a very good backup. And let's hope he can surprise us all. I think we are gonna sign many Brazilians in the next years due to Edu connection there. And he's the one behind the deal. Pablo Marí agent is a very close person to Sanlehí, and this explains a lot. This is it. Let's hope he can make a good impact here. And welcome Pablo Marí to Arsenal.
Huge thank you to Renato for taking the time out of his afternoon or morning, definitely Brazil, easier morning right now. But massive thank you to him for giving us his top class insight, and definitely tells us a lot about the player that I didn't originally know. Really interested to know about his strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to go into that with some of the statistics. But first of all, let's jump to our trusty heat map to see where this guy is playing. Now, he's a left-sided centre-back. He's left-footed and very similar to Matvienko in that sense. I think that when you look at someone that we need at Arsenal, we haven't got any really left-footed centre-backs at all. And we need someone who's going to be able to play on that left-hand side. And we need someone who's going to be able to push forward as well. And you can see from the heat map, that definitely spreads into the opposition half a fair amount. He's very, very tall, good in the air, so he likes being in the opposition box. And you can see that from the little heat spot that you can see in the opposition box there. But mainly, he knows for his discipline, being back in the right place at the right time, making challenges. He loves a tackle from the images that I've seen watching him on Y-Scout. But most of all, I'm really interested to see into some of his defensive stats. So let's go into those. 3.91 defensive duels with a 68.5% success rate. That is very decent. Aerial duels, you would expect him to get involved with loads of those, and he does. 3.52. He's getting involved as many defensive duels as aerial duels in those games, and he's winning 64.1% of those, which is very, very positive. Sliding tackle's not part of his game, mostly because he knows how to stay on his feet. He knows not to dive in, which lots of people will be very, very happy about, considering the fact that we've got a guy in Mustafi that loves to dive in too much, it's fair to say. So a 70% success rate when he does get involved in those, which is decent, but he's not known for that type of play defensively. 4.12 interceptions per game, very, very good. Slightly less than Matvienko that we talked about the other day, but still good to see that he's in that position, knows his positional awareness. Some people called him the Spanish pair Mertesacker, effectively, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think he's slow as Mertesacker, but positionally and his positional awareness, he definitely knows where to be in the right place at the right time. Losses, 5 per game. This is down to the fact that he does like a pass or two. I saw a couple of reports saying that he isn't a ball-playing defender, which I don't agree with from what I've seen of him. He does like a pass, and that's why we're seeing 5 losses per game, 43% of those in his own half. But again, I like to stress the fact that when looking at defenders, that percentage of losing the ball in their own half is much, much higher than for anyone else on the pitch. Recoveries, though, are really, really good. 9 of those being made per game, nearly 10, in fact, and 13.7% of those happening in the opposition half, mostly probably when he's up for a corner and he retreats and he gets the ball back in really good positions. Block shots, 0.25, doesn't get in the way of too many shots. I'm sure that will increase his time under Arteta, who knows that that is a big part of his tactics and part of his game. And then clearances, over 3 of those per game, really good. Likes to get the ball out as much as possible. Makes just under a foul per game, and you'd expect to see that from a defender now and again. But discipline-wise, a yellow card, he won every 5 games. So you're looking at across the season, not really getting a suspension in the first half. So really, really interesting to know that we've got someone who doesn't like diving in, is quite disciplined, doesn't take too many yellow cards. Maybe that'll change under Arteta's professional fouling tactics, but we'll just have to wait and see. Let's have a look at the passing stats. This is the bit I'm really intrigued about. 91.6% success rate and accuracy in his passing, with 46 being made per game. But it's the long passes that show to me that he is someone who likes to get the ball over the top. If you go and have a look at some of the videos of him and his passing, you'll see him love to switch the play out to the wide right, out to the wide left. 65.9% accuracy in those wide long passes, which is very, very positive. 5.2 being made per game. A very decent part of his game, which I think will be utilised under Mikel Arteta. Through balls, not much in that sense there. We're not seeing too much in the way of through balls and crosses because he's just a centre-back, and that's how this works. Passes into the final third, 6.65 per game with a 78.3% success rate. That's really, really good, quite high in terms of that, especially considering the fact that he likes to play a long ball over the top in games. So the fact that those balls are going to the final third with a good amount of accuracy is positive. Pass into the box, not really part of his game, only 0.24 being made every game or so, and I mean that's once every 4 games that he's doing that, so you don't need to consider that too greatly when analysing him. Receive passes 32, that shows that clearly they're using those centre-backs at Flamengo quite greatly to pass the ball back to. And then forward passes compared to the backward passes, a massive ratio skewed in the forward pass momentum. I'd like to see that forward pass percentage a bit higher than 85.2%, 15% of those, so that's just over 1 in every 10 passes, or 2 in every 20, shall we say. I think that's right, my maths. 2 in every 20? I'm probably wrong. 3 in every 20 probably are being misplaced. But it is, you are going to find with accuracy being lower like that in a player that wants to get the ball out as much as feasibly possible. I do expect that to be slightly low. So maybe I'm being too critical, but I would personally like to see that percentage accuracy a bit higher. Backwards passing, 91.8% accuracy, very high, very expected. Let's finally look at the attacking stats to see what he actually does in terms of a forward play for a defender in the box. I don't expect to see too many of these attacking stats too high. Not very high shots, not very high XG, shot assists are 0, crosses are 0 pretty much, dribbles are 0, doesn't take the ball out from the defence like William Saliba does. That's definitely something that's different. He prefers to pass it out or play a long ball over the top, not one to go on a dribble. Offensive duels, 0.78, again very low. Touches in the box, very, very low. Only when he's getting involved with the corner will that happen, hence why for once he actually managed to be offside, which is quite impressive for a centre-back. Very low progressive runs, and he's not suffering too many fouls. So that was very brief in terms of defensive stats, but that is what you expect from a player who is a centre-back. I'm really intrigued by this. I think it's one of those players that we can't make too much of a judgment about until he actually signs. He's not well known. He's not played in a top 5 league in the team that are playing in that league whatsoever, whilst he did have a stint at Manchester City and sometime in Spain. He's not been playing at the top level for a top club in those top 5 leagues, and he hasn't had experience of that. So 26 years old, it is a risk for sure. I'm not sure about the logistics of the deal. It seems to be that we're looking at a loan with an option to buy, which is good because you don't want to be obligated to pay 9, 10, 15 million for a player that turns out to be quite poor. I don't think that'll be the case for him. I think there's a lot of potential to see from this guy. It's nice that we're buying someone who's 26 years old, still just reaching the fact that he's going into his prime, someone that's tall, someone that's going to be good in the air at defending set pieces, which is good, and provide good cover as well when our players are out. I don't know how many minutes we'll see him get this season. I'm not even sure if he comes in over the likes of David Luiz or Socrates right now. I'm not sure where he stacks up in that sense. So it's going to be interesting to see how many games and minutes he gets this season. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Considering our situation in January, knowing that we couldn't spend a lot of money and any defender that we brought in was probably not going to be a main starter, how do you feel about this deal? Are you intrigued about it? And what sort of feeling does it give you? Thank you ever so much for listening. If you have enjoyed the show, please drop a like on the video and subscribe if you're new, and turn notifications on so you never miss a show. I will see you again very, very soon for another tactical breakdown if and when we get some more news about other players. Little side note, learn a little bit about Carrasco today. That last season when we were in for Carrasco, it was actually a Mislintat deal, and when Mislintat went, the Carrasco deal died. So there's a little bit of info that you may not have got from anywhere else, a little insight that I got today. So there you go, interesting stuff. I'll see you again very, very soon, and as always, up the Arsenal.